Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and this is my King County real estate market update for June 2025. What's up, King County? We are going to jump into the stats here. If you're new to these updates, we always look at the month before, and then we jump into some of the pending sales data to get an even better feel for exactly what's shifting and changing in the market. We don't get any hard numbers there, but we get to see some trends and observe those trends and how they might affect the numbers. We'll start off looking at the new listing data, 3,701 new listings in May, and that's up considerably from the 2,920 new listings last month, more than 25%. It's also just under 25% more than the same time last year, 24.4% more new listings. This is significant, right? We're seeing more and more houses coming on the market. And for the whole year, we're looking at about 18% more new listings that have come on the market so far. Now, pending sales are up as well, 9.4% year over year with 1,995. This is encouraging because we're seeing houses coming off the market as they're coming on, but not in the same numbers. The past few years, we've seen about the same amount of houses coming on and off the market, keeping the supply numbers relatively stable. But what we're seeing is that the housing market supply is ballooning over the past couple months. We're seeing fewer closed sales, 1,649, down 16.2% year over year. But that number of new listings is continuing. That's changing the amount of supply. 4,115 houses on the market this month, 3,002 at the end of last month. So we're seeing a huge jump there, right? Month over month. But the amount last year, 2,550, 61.4% more houses on the market this year than the same time last year. May is typically a time where you start to see a little bit of inventory buildup, but this is significant, way more houses coming on the market. And I just mentioned we saw a significantly less amount of closed sales, right? Which is a huge part of this. So 2.8 months of supply versus 1.8 months last year. And really, when you get into that 3 to 4 month range, you start to see the seller negotiation leverage that's market-based disappear, right? There is something to be said for, hey, the market's hot, pay what I want, give me what I want, take your contingencies away. It's really hard to combat that when the market pressure's there. But when the market pressure starts to subside, for the buyer, you have a lot more leverage. Oh, okay, well, there's not going to be 7 other buyers for this house, right? So you don't necessarily have to pay over asking price or remove contingencies. I think that's not quite reflected in price yet. $995 for the median sales price in King County, and the average sales price, $1,247,956, right? So we're still seeing really high median sales price and average prices. Those are actually down year over year. Last year, we were over $1 million in median sales price, and in average sales price, almost 1.3. So they're down 2.4 and 3.1% for the average and median, and down month over month, last month over 1.3 for the average and over $1,040,000 for the median sales price. So we're starting to see prices coming down a little sooner. Usually it starts to come down maybe in June, July. We start to see the summer market constriction in prices as the amount of inventory builds, right? And we're already seeing that happening now. And we're seeing houses selling for less than last month as far as percentage over asking price. 1.4% versus 2.6%. And last year it was 3.2% over asking price. So as a whole, we're starting to see things are shifting in King County, and they're shifting fairly quickly. I would argue that next month we are going to see things a lot slower than we're seeing right now. Again, the data is already reflecting those changes. If we don't see an uptick in buyer activity here, it will only continue to build the supply on the market. Now, I don't think we're going to see this continued influx of new listings all year long, But I do think we've got a few more months of this where people are listing their houses in the summer, and normally you see more listings this time of year, June, July, and then it starts to taper off a little bit in August. So we've got a few more months of a lot of inventory, and we'll get to see how that affects the market. My opinion is that for buyers, it's going to be a lot easier to buy in the summer, this summer, than it has been in the past couple summers. And if you know anything about the seasons and cycles in real estate, it's usually easier to buy in the summer here in Seattle. So if I'm a buyer, I'm thinking this summer is my golden opportunity to make a purchase. And it's not a perfect situation. Rates are still higher, but I've got lots of options to choose from. I have some negotiating leverage, and it's only going to get better as the summer goes on. So if I'm somebody thinking about making a home purchase and I haven't done it yet, this is when I'm going to start thinking about it, getting ready, making that purchase this summer or this fall, and being in a position to take advantage of potentially more negotiating power as a buyer. And I'm also thinking about how, yes, rates are eventually going to come down. And when they do, the housing market is going to be going in the opposite direction. It's going to be stimulated versus depressed. So that's my message to you if you're a buyer. I think for sellers, you're still getting a great price. My expectation for the summer for any listings that I have or anybody else has is, you're going to need to be priced competitively, not on the high end, right? You're going to need to be differentiating yourself, or at least within that market range. And I think that the expectation would be that it's going to take a little bit more time to sell your house. It's not going to sell in a week with multiple offers. It's probably going to take 30 to 45 days this summer to sell a house. And the expectation would be that there's probably some negotiating on the price and or some of those contingencies, right? It's not going to be just, hey, this is what I want, give it to me. The buyers are going to need to have the opportunity to include some of those contingencies at the least. If you have questions, though, about the King County housing market, feel free to reach out to me. And if you're thinking about making a move, whether that's a purchase or a sale anywhere in King County, I'd love to be a resource for you.